I'm getting my stuff ready to go to Bruiser's class for his scope carbine and precision rifle 1. And as I was getting stuff ready, I was like, you know what? Why don't I talk about 3 upgrades that I've made to my gas gun that I'm really excited about this year. Now, as I said in a previous video, I won't be shooting a lot of gas gun this year, but I will be shooting as my schedule allows. So I'm looking forward to that. And I'll still be shooting gas gun in like probably a PRS match or 2-gun. And I've been talking with somebody about doing some run and gun. So I'll still be shooting in other stuff outside of the typical gas gun specific matches. But 3 things that I'm excited about that I've changed on my rifle. But before we dive into the changes I've made, I want to know if there's any upgrades you've made to your rifles, anything you're looking to change on your rifles. Leave it in the comments down below. Let me know what changes you're making or what changes you're trying to make and why. I just want to say, none of these are gonna be like groundbreaking or revolutionary. They're not gonna change the game or any of those things. We've reached the point with most platforms that all we're doing at this point is making small refinements and improvements where we can, making them more efficient or more user-friendly in our preferences. And that's what these 3 are mainly about. I just felt that was worth noting because I feel like a lot of products that come out now are overhyped. And for the most part, that's just not the case. There are some really cool products that have come out that have done some really cool things, but for the most part, until we're shooting laser beams out of these guns, they're not gonna be revolutionary or groundbreaking in a large way. Also, not sponsored by any of these, just things that I'm super excited about. So the first is going to be the 5.56A1 from KGM. Now this is their heavy use 5.56 can. One of the cool things about it is it now accepts 6mm as well. So if I want to use 6 arc or jump up to 6 max later in the year, which I'm hoping to do, this can will accommodate that. So I can just swap it over to that upper. A couple of reasons I'm excited about using this can versus what I was using last year is 1, the size, so it's a little bit shorter, but 2, less back pressure. So the Sons of Liberty barrel already has a reduced gas port size, so it's already reducing some of that gas coming back, but I still noticed there was a good amount coming back from that suppressor. And my initial impressions from shooting this for the first time, I can already tell that it has less back pressure. Now I will do a whole video on this can later on down the road once I have more time with it, but suffice to say, I'm pretty excited about using it this year. The 2 other features about the suppressor that I'm excited about are 1, the lockup, that it has this ratcheting lockup similar to the Surefire, I think a little bit better, but I like this lockup better than some of the other suppressors that are on the market. And then the other thing is, and this is a big one for me, is the muzzle device. Because the Sons of Liberty barrels and some other barrels are 5/8 by 24, you can't always use the right muzzle device for the can you're wanting to use. You have to go up in suppressor size to like a 7.62 can or a 308 can. And being able to use a 5/8 by 24 on a 5.56 can, it was a big deal for me. For example, last year, I had a 5.56 specific can for this gun, but I couldn't use it, so I had to jump up to a 7.62 can so that I could use it on this thread pitch and use the correct muzzle device. So I'm super excited to get more rounds through this, and everybody I've talked to that already has one has had nothing but great things to say, so should be really good. Now, I do wanna make a quick side note. Everybody asks, what suppressor covers do you use? What do you recommend? I use burn-proof gear on all of my suppressors, and that's not sponsored. They don't pay me anything. I don't have an affiliate link or a code. I probably should have asked for one, but I don't have one. But I decided to order a custom one for this because what they recommend on their site is actually a 5-inch. And if you use that, it actually covers this, and I was worried it was going to depress it. So I decided to order a custom one. When you fill out for a custom order through Burn-Proof Gear, they will text you directly about your order and make sure you're getting exactly what you need and what you want. And the interaction, the customer service was great. And so I have a custom cover coming for this that won't cover or depress the locking mechanism. So I'm super excited about that. So I just wanted to give them a shout out because that type of customer service isn't something you see in a lot of industries, let alone in our industry. So super cool, good on them. Shout out to Burn-Proof Gear. If you're looking for a suppressor cover, check them out. Again, not sponsored. The second thing is going to be the Ford Controls Design ACFL. Now, if you've seen any of my other previous videos about gas guns or any of my builds, you know that I'm a big fan, a big proponent of the Ford Controls Design ACF. So this is the original one, and the things that I like about it is that it's a single piece, so the little wings don't snap off, and I like that it has a rearward sweep, so that it doesn't have these hooks, because anything shaped like a hook tends to act like a hook. And what I found was with some other charging handles, they would get stuck on chest rigs or plate carriers, and they would end up, as you let the rifle hang, it would go and then it would depress and then it would start to pull the rifle out of battery, especially if like a really worn BCG or a gun that's very well broken in. It would happen, and it was just like an inconvenience, and I just wasn't a fan. So really like this. I love how strong it is. Made here in America. Roger's good people. Again, not sponsored, but he does live down the street from me, so that's pretty cool. And as more and more people have been shooting scope carbine or putting scopes onto their carbines, one of the issues they ran into was how narrow this is. So as you can see, it's pretty narrow. So they came out with the L version, which is just slightly wider. So all they did was expand it. They didn't get rid of any of the features that people love. They just made it wider so that it's easier to grab when you're using an LPVO or any kind of scope or optic on your rifle. So if you're running scope carbine and you run into that issue, if you've been using one of the ACFs, you can now switch over to the wider version, and it's pretty awesome. I think Kane, if I remember his Instagram account, I'll link it here. If I don't and I missed it, then somebody please leave it in the comments. He deserves credit for this. Roger gives him credit for it because he's the one who talked Roger into doing it, and it just came from him shooting a lot of matches and saying, hey, here's an issue we're running into. And one of the things I love about Ford Controls is they listen to their customers, they listen to people who are actually using the product, and they try to make improvements where they can. So super cool, super excited about that. If yours is working fine, there's no need to change it. I'm not telling you you gotta go buy this, but I am very excited about that. I would show you it in the gun, but like YouTube doesn't like when we do that. And the third one is going to be the ACBR V4. Now, this is not officially out at the time of this video. It may be out by the time the video drops. Essentially all it is it's the ACBR with a forward bias on the upper paddle, and then all we've done is we've expanded the lower paddle on the bottom. So one of the things I said was that Roger listens to the feedback of his customers. And I told him that I think that something we could do to improve it was to make the lower paddle larger, like some other companies have, right? This isn't revolutionary, some other people are doing it, but I've seen a lot of those break and shear off under pressure. So talking with Roger, we made the paddles as big as we could while maintaining structural integrity and their strength and rigidity. We did add some more meat in there. I say we, Roger did all this. I just gave the recommendation. But that's what he did, and I love the way that it's come out. Now, where this idea came from is actually from injured shooters. So if you ever done an injured shooter class and you needed to use the lower paddle, or if you're somebody who uses ambi and you want to use it that way, this is a lot easier to depress than the smaller paddle on the previous version. So people will ask, how come there's not a rearward bias? And the reason for that is, again, some other models from different companies have this, but the reason we didn't do that is because we want the products to integrate with all the pieces that Roger sells. So because Roger sells the ambi mag release for ambi shooters, if we were to do a rearward bias, it would interfere with that. So we didn't do that. And we only have a forward bias on both paddles. It just makes more sense. These will be available once all the V3s are gone. So if you're interested in these, check out Ford Controls Design. If you're interested in any of the products, check out Big Tex, Bauer Precision, Sons of Liberty. There's codes down in the description. Check out for all of them. So if you're interested in getting a Sons upper or their barrel, or if you're interested in KGM can, check out Bauer. If you're interested in any of the Ford Controls parts, check out Bauer, check out Big Tex. They will have all that. Now, I do have a bonus item. So I know it said 3, but there is a 4th item. And the reason it's a bonus item is because it's not something I have personally. It's just something that I saw that I thought was pretty cool, and I wanted to give credit where credit was due. So Ryan, I always forget how to say his IG name, but he's doing some really cool stuff for the Gascon community out on the West Coast. He does a really good job of organizing classes. He got Scott Peterson out there. He's got him going again. So if you're looking for a class out in California, check out Ryan. Again, his Instagram's right here, and he will help you get signed up for Scott's class. But he has what is called it's called the PDQ, but essentially it allows you to turn your mil-spec lower into an ambi lower. And I think that's super cool for people who don't want to have to buy a whole ambi lower. And he's been using it, and I'm interested to hear his feedback on it. He just put it on. So again, I'll put a video or a link to it. Oh wait, it's gotta be a link. Can't show the video. YouTube will get upset. But yeah, check him out, ask him questions. He's a great resource in the community, especially on the West Coast. So I thought that was super cool. I wanted to give a shout out there. Apparently it's been out for a while, but I've just now found out about it through him. But that is 3 upgrades that I've made to my gas gun for 2025 that I'm excited about. Excited to hear yours. Make sure you guys hit that like and subscribe. Karate chop that bell so you get notified every time I upload a video, and I will see you guys in the next one. See if we can get this one to focus because it's so little. That's what she said.